Hello, my name is Peter Gauchel. I am the current chairman of the North American Commercial and Industrial Insulation Standards Manual. This was formerly called the MICA Manual. I'm here today to teach you how to fill out what we will refer to as the MICA plates. These plates are used as a part of your insulation submittal package that you will send to the project engineer for approval. The MICA plates are the heart and soul of the manual. These plates are pictures and descriptions of how you will be installing your insulation on your projects. Once you've developed these plates with how you're going to install your insulation, you can then save them on your computer and put them in a file to use for future projects. That way you don't have to start from scratch each time you develop submittals for a project. Here's how you'll fill out and save your plates. The first step is to open the MICA Fillable Plates 9th edition shortcut file. You received this when you registered for the online version of the manual. You have to have this file as shown on the right in order to get started. Once you open this file, you will see all of the MICA plates in numerical order. Then you will choose your plate that you want to fill out with your mouse and click on it. In this case, we're going to start with plate 1-100. Once it is open, you will see that you have two pages. The first page is the written description of the plate and the list of bubble descriptions used on page 2 of the plate. The bubbles are the little circles with numbers in them. On this page, you are seeing, for instance, number 1 says the pipe. You're describing what type of pipe system you're insulating. Number 2 would be the insulation type. Number 3 is the factory applied jacket. And number 4 is the butt strip tape on circumferential joints. When you go to the second page, in the picture of the plate with numbers and bubbles, point out specific areas, as I had said. Below the picture, you will see a blue screen under submittal data. This is where you're going to type in the information you plan on using for the situation on your project. To get started here, you must take your mouse and put it on the blue screen and click on it. Once you do that, the screen will turn white. This will then allow you to start typing in the information for each numbered bubble. We will now go through 5 examples of how to fill out each plate and then how to save them to your own plate library for future use. As stated earlier, we've called up plate 1-100. We want to read the first page to familiarize yourself with the plate and the bubble information, as I had done previously. Next, arrow down to page 2 under submittal data and click on the blue screen. It should turn white, and now you are ready to type in your information. In this example, we will type the following answers. Number 1, the pipe system we are insulating. We will type in heating hot water piping for this example. Number 2, the type of insulation we're going to use on the project. We will type in ABC fiberglass pipe insulation. You will, of course, use whatever manufactured pipe insulation you would be using. Number 3, the type of jacket being installed. In this case, we would use the factory installed ASJ jacketing. And number 4, the type of butt strip. In this case, we will type in factory supplied butt strips. Now this plate is completed and we want to save this. So we will go up and click on File and then click on Save, then give it a name and store it in your submittal file folder on your computer, which you have created. Once you've done that, you have it in your library. Now we have 4 more plates to go through with everyone. All the steps are identical to the steps we just went through. Here's a second plate we're looking at, plate 2-200, which is flexible foam fittings. Again, we've highlighted this plate from our series of plates. We've clicked on it, and now we see this picture, and we are ready to click on the submittal data, and the screen turns white, and now we can start typing in the information we want to use for this plate. In this example, number 1, we are going to insulate domestic hot and cold water piping. Number 2 is the type of insulation we're going to use. We're going to use 1/2 inch thick ABC flexible cellular pipe insulation. Number 3, we're going to select detail A, stovepipe 2-piece mitered insulation sealed together with ABC adhesive for piping 1.5 inches and smaller. Then we're going to state detail B, 3-piece mitered insulation sealed together with ABC adhesive for piping 2 inch and larger. And then number 4, in this case, it's stating you can put on a protective coating, but in our project, this is going to be inside a building and we're not going to use any protective coating. So what we state is protective coating not applicable. Now, again, these are just examples. This isn't how you have to state it. But this is an example of where we have 3 options to do a 90-degree elbow. And we can split it up in sizes if we want to, like I have done on this example. You don't have to do it this way. You can just list one of the options. You might just list B and say, we're going to do all of the elbows as example B, as detail B. So what I've shown you here is an option where you can use detail A for part of the piping, and once you get to a larger size piping, you can state you want to use detail B. Now, here is the completed plate, and again, you're going to save that plate, give it a name, and put it in your submittal file. Next plate is plate 2-500. This is a common commercial plate to do PVC elbows on a piping system. Again, we call the plate up, then we go down with our mouse and we click on the blue screen of submittal data. Again, that turns white, and now it allows us to type in all of this information. So we type number 1. In this example, we're gonna be insulating chilled water piping. So we list that under number 1. This is a chilled water pipe. Number 2, we're going to use ABC fiberglass pipe insulation with factory applied ASJ jacketing. And again, you can word these descriptions however you feel comfortable. But what we want to do is we want to list the insulation that we're using for this pipe system. Number 3, we're going to list ABC factory supplied fiberglass blanket inserts at this point. And bubble 3 on the picture points to the insulation you're going to put on the 90-degree elbow. Number 4, we're going to use ABC PVC fitting covers. Number 5, I'm going to list 2 serrated fasteners installed in the throat of each fitting cover. And I could say number 5, detail A. 2 serrated fasteners installed in the throat of each fitting cover. It's very important that you tell or you list the number of fasteners you're going to put on each elbow, because the engineer is going to review this and approve it or not approve it. If you have an engineer that likes 3 fasteners in the throat of the elbow, then you should list 3. You might have an engineer that doesn't like the way you've done it and wants to make some corrections on it, and then you can go back and make corrections on your plate and resubmit it. Number 6 in detail B shows an ABC vapor retarder tape on all seams. And again, we use the term ABC because we don't list any manufacturers and their products in these examples. So you would list the company's name that you're going to use and their vapor retarder tape on all seams. And again, this example is for chilled water piping. If I was doing heating hot water piping for number 6, I could use the term not applicable, and I could just deal with detail A in this example. And we will save that, give it a name, save it in your submittal file. And also, each time you do that, you want to put a copy of that into your library. So when you get to the next project, if you're doing the same type of installation on a chilled water system, all you have to do is pull up this plate and it's done. And you can just pull it into your submittal package file on the next project. The next plate is 3-100. We're now getting into some ductwork. This one is flexible fibrous blanket duct insulation. Again, we're pulling up the plate number, and then we're going to click on the blue box. And again, we're going to look at the page on the left, which gives you the description of what goes in on each bubble. Number 1, what type of duct system is it? In this case, we're going to call it concealed supply ductwork. Number 2 is the insulation material. We're going to use 2-inch thick type 75 ABC fiberglass duct wrap with factory installed FSK. Again, you can word it however you like. You don't have to word it exactly the way I have it in this example. Number 3, I'm going to install 2-inch overlaps on all seams. Number 4, I'm going to use 1-inch cupped head pins, and I'm securing them to the bottom of the ductwork on 18-inch centers. This picture shows the pins on top only so we can see them. You will tell the engineer where you're going to put these pins. And of course, we're going to put them in on the bottom. We are not telling you you have to put pins on the top of your duct insulation. That wouldn't make any sense. But in this case, just so we can see the pins and the washers or the types of pins, we put them on the top and then we list where we're going to install them. Number 5, that points to the tape that's going to be used in this case. We're going to use a 3-inch ABC foil tape applied to all seams. Number 6, in our case, we're going to use outward clinch staples installed on all horizontal insulation overlap seams. Now you can state that in number 6, it might look like there is an adhesive there, but you list whatever you are going to use. Some people just use tape. and don't use outward clinch staples. Some people use adhesive, so you might want to state an ABC adhesive on all seams. In our company, we use outward clinch staples. Number 7 shows an adhesive on the ductwork. In this case, and in this example, we're going to say not applicable, because in the project we're filling this out for, we're not going to use adhesive on the ductwork and then put the insulation over the adhesive. But if you're doing an Army Corps of Engineers project, they might require it. So you would list number 7 and you would tell them the type of adhesive that you're putting on the ductwork and where you're putting it on. It might just be on the sides and the bottom. It might be on all 4 sides. It might just be on the bottom. But you would list exactly where you're installing the adhesive. But again, in this example, we're not going to be using adhesive, so we're just going to say this is not applicable. Now we're showing the whole completed plate. And again, we want to save this to our library, and then we can put it in our insulate or our submittal package or our submittal file that we're going to send to the engineering firm. The next slide. This is a plate showing watershed jacketing. If we're insulating a piece of ductwork on a roof, here's a good example of how to insulate it and how to put a sloped top on the insulation so you have a watershed jacketing system. So again, we pull up the plate, we're going to click on the blue screen, and then we're going to type in how we're going to insulate this. And again, number 1 is always, what type of ductwork is this? In this example, we're going to call it supply ductwork on roof. Number 2 is the type of insulation we're going to use. In this example, I'm going to state this is 2-inch thick polyiso board insulation with a factory installed foil facing. I'm also going to apply a 1/4-inch tapered polyiso insulation sheet on the top side of the duct insulation, creating 2 layers of insulation on the top side. The bottom layer and side layers of polyiso will be secured with 2-inch cupped head pins on 18-inch centers. And number 3, I'm going to put the first course of ABC jacketing starting at the lowest elevation. Number 4, I'm going to put the bottom piece of ABC jacketing installed first with the sides going up the sidewalls. Again, I'm describing how I'm putting the jacketing on or installing the jacketing in a watershed manner. Number 5, the side pieces of ABC jacketing installed next in a watershed manner. The jacketing is to overlap the top side of the duct insulation 2 inches. Number 6, the top piece of ABC jacketing installed with both sides overlapping in a watershed manner. Number 7, the second course of jacketing installed in a watershed manner. And number 8, the third course installed in a watershed manner. So what I've done is I've described exactly the insulation I'm using, where I'm putting it, how I'm installing it, and how I'm installing the jacketing in a watershed manner. Again, this is just my wording. You could use it exactly as I have it here if you like it. Otherwise, you can install your own descriptions. Then again, we get to this plate and we're now going to save it like we have the previous plates. Now that you know how to use the manual plates for your submittal package, these plates, when used and filled out properly, can save your company thousands of dollars. When the project engineer comes to you and tells you they don't like the way you have installed the insulation and they want you to do it a different way, at that time, all you have to do is go back to your submittal package and show them that they approved the plates, showing the way you said you were going to install the insulation. Another benefit from using the manual plates in your submittals is once they've been approved, you can make a copy and give it to your project foreman and have them install the insulation just as you have stated in the plates you submitted. Also, these plates have been approved by the engineer, so you should not have any arguments at the end of the project on how the insulation was installed. Again, these are only 5 examples. If you're filling out submittals for an insulation project, you're going to use the piping plates for all the different systems. There are hanger plates for clevis hangers and the inserts you're supposed to use. The same with ductwork. We have duct board insulation to use and inserts on duct board insulation. We have tanks, we have vessels, we have air separators, we have all kinds of equipment. All of these plates are found in the North American Commercial and Industrial Insulation Standards Manual.